All right. I think I'm leading off today. So welcome everybody. If it starts to cut out, please let me know. I'll kill my video, but we're going to keep our fingers crossed this morning. So I am Laura Ritz. I am the Durango Wordsmith, and Jeff and I got to present last week, and he asked me to lead off this week. Our big focus today is going to be content, the type of content that you are going to be putting on LinkedIn, the purpose of that content, and just kind of just starting a discussion around what, how you can make a difference with content on your LinkedIn page. So before we do that, we did want to make sure that we cover any questions that maybe we left hanging last time, or if you've gone and worked on your LinkedIn profile and you have some new questions that have arisen, if you can just drop those in the chat, that way Jeff and I can make sure that we get around to that today. So just anything that's come up, feel free to put those in the chat and we'll make sure that we spend some time covering those today. So, all right, here we go. I need to get screen sharing permission, please, whoever the host is.
That's a good question. That's just a second here.
Sure thing. So while Jeff is doing that, let's just start out with a discussion on the power of content, okay? Does anybody, go ahead and just drop in the chat, why do you think we put content on LinkedIn? I'd love to see your responses. What's the reason that we put posts and articles and polls and such on LinkedIn? Engagement, good. Any other thoughts on that? Okay, so Sandy is definitely on the right track. Engagement is part of it. Yes, Lisa. Establishing a brand. Yes, establishing yourself as an industry leader. Perfect. So reflecting your interests and values. Very good. These are great. So the purpose of content is exactly like you said. It's to establish yourself as an expert in your field. Okay, yep, perfect. That's exactly what Nicole just said. To be recognized as an authority in your field. And this is kind of a newer trend. The concept behind content marketing is not new. This actually started back in the 1800s with a magazine by John Deere called The Farrell. And it's a really cool concept where basically we share our information, we share our wealth of knowledge for free so that people recognize that we are a leader, they recognize us as an expert, and they decide they want to learn more from us. And this in turn gets us either branding or business or networking, depending on what you're using your content for. Okay, basically, so we're using it to establish ourselves as an expert in our field and then also to build an audience. You know, they say that you can sell anything to anyone as long as you've got an audience, right? So it's to build that audience so people are very interested in what we're doing and why. So let's go ahead and look at the types of content that we see on LinkedIn. Let me see if I can get that to pull up here. All right. Okay, can everybody see my LinkedIn screen? Thumbs up? Got it, perfect. Okay, so this is just, I just logged into LinkedIn. This is what you're looking at right here. And if you see here at the top, it says start a post. Okay, now right now I am not logged into I'm not clicking on my actual profile. This is right at the top of my feed. This is the fastest way to put a post or an article out there, and I'll be honest, I forget about this one all the time. I always go into my feed and do it the long way, or into my actual profile, but this is a quick way. A couple things that you can add from right here. You can add a photo. There's a lot of reasons to add a photo. You'll see Tim Walsworth with BID. He does this all the time. You know, things that are going on in the Durango community, okay? You can add a video. We have people who are really great on screen, and so they'll put videos out of themselves, maybe teaching on a topic. They might put videos out of community events. They might do a monthly video of, you know, here's what's happening in my industry. So there's a lot of reasons and ways that people use videos, but that's a definite option. You can post a document. If you go into our group, our LinkedIn helpers group, you'll see that both Jeff and I posted some documents in there, and I'm going to show you that here in a few minutes, for people to look at, resources people can use. Or you can also write an article, which we'll discuss in just a minute, the difference between a post and an article. And then, of course, just clicking right here at the top, you could start a post. And these are very simple. You just click start a post. Are you able to see this little pop-up? Okay, cool. So you put here what you want to talk about. So I might discuss something. I might say, hey, did you see the latest news? The AP Style book has updated their editing guidelines for 2019, you know, something that's relevant to my field, okay? And then I'm gonna add some hashtags. And Jeff is gonna talk in a little bit here about how to find great hashtags and find those keywords that will help people find your content. And then here you can also add a little bit more. Here's kind of some ideas, concepts that you may wanna do. You can create a poll, which is pretty cool. Jeff has done one of those. We'll go show that in a minute as well. You can share that you're hiring. So if you're hiring for a position, offer help on a situation. You know, I've seen people lately posting, hey, for those who lost their jobs, contact me, I'll get you in touch with my network, or things like that. You might want to share a profile, share someone else's profile. You can find an expert in your field. You can also celebrate an occasion. Hey, this is the 3rd year I've been in business. Today's my 3rd year anniversary, that type of thing. So those are just a few ideas of things you might want to put in a post, okay? Usually they're shorter. I'm going to take you over here and show you. Okay, Robert Rose, he's a big content marketing guy, one of my favorite people to follow. He just is full of some great information. And so I went ahead and came over to his feed. And so if I go, first of all, I type in his name, and then when it pops up, I can click on see his activity, okay? Let me see if I can't show you from here, but I go look at his activity, and here is his activity. So I'm in all activity right now, so I can see every single thing that he's posted, shared, put out there. But if I click here at the top on articles, I can see his articles very specifically versus his posts that he's done, okay? And if we look at the way he does his posts, he runs a company called The Content Advisory. And a lot of his posts tend to be links. And so you can come here, they'll have a quick little blurb, just a quick description. Hey, here's what you're gonna find in this post, and here's a link to getting over to this post. So I click the link, boom, I go to his website, and I can read all the content that the Content Advisory is putting out. So these are just some cool ideas. So he tends to do a lot of that, a lot of linking. Content Marketing Institute, another one of my favorite institutions, follow. He does a podcast, all sorts of stuff. So that's how he uses his posts. There's a lot of ways to use them, but this is one. Now, if I click on his articles, okay, these are more like a blog, all right? So when I click on this, if you look at it, it actually is more like an article. This has some educational information in it. This is something I might go in and research. I might take something away from. The articles are not linking me out to another site. They're giving me good content. So you can take a look here. Just quick little tip from the writer here. I love how he's got this in all caps. He's using all bold. This is scannable. There's lots of white space, but it's also packed with great information, okay? You know, was the ad a mistake? Maybe it was, maybe it wasn't. This was a fabulous, I listened to this discussion on their podcast. It was fabulous. Anyway, beside the point. So sometimes we have good intentions, we take a risk, we try something, and we fail. Sometimes we fail spectacularly, right? So you can walk away from this and take something really, really meaty away from this. So that's how he uses his posts and his articles. Let me see if I can go back there. There we can. And let me see if it'll let me go back again. It will. So when I look at his feed, so here is he's the trusted advisor to global brands. We scroll down. I was able to get into his content right here under the activity section. And all I had to do was click see all activity. And that's how I got to this screen where I could see everything. So what Jeff is going to talk about here in a bit is how to like and share those posts. And one thing I recommend is find some people that you admire, find some, you know, great people who are in your field, who are very knowledgeable, and go follow their feeds and share their stuff. You know, I mean, like I said, I really admire Robert Rose and Joe Polizzi. They are full of great information. I share their stuff a lot because it's always good. It's always high quality. So that's one thing you can do. I'm going to pop over here to, I have to move this bar here just a second. No, not there. Okay. So let me go into my own profile here. And I have spent more time lately sharing content than creating my own, because I've been having fun creating other people's content and I need to make more time to create my own. But so again, if I wanted to create a post directly from my profile, I click on my own profile, I can scroll down. Now I can click here to see all of my own activity, all right? And you can also create posts and look at things directly from this, but this shows you everything that I have shared recently. So you can go in there and take a look at some of this type of thing. Let me see here. Jeff, oh yeah, I was gonna show our LinkedIn group. Jeff, do you have some stuff you wanna go ahead and take away from here? Take it away.
Yeah, so all good advice coming from Laura there. Some really interesting things. And what I noticed about the gentleman's post that Laura was sharing with us is that if you drop that see more down, Laura, just real quick, what's missing in that post?
Good
There are
question.
no hashtags. Okay, so it's a big opportunity for us that are going to learn about hashtags right now to go out and leverage hashtags. So let me share my screen here real quick. Laura, were you done, Laura? Or do you want me to?
Yeah, take it
Okay,
away.
perfect. Okay, let me just share my entire screen. Okay. Okay. So one of the things I want to roll through before I get started on hashtags and keywords is when you do a post on LinkedIn, whether it be a post or a long form article, there's a couple of tips. One of them's a hack that we leverage all the time, and as LinkedIn people, in that, and I'll talk about that in a second. But when you post on LinkedIn, you want to minimize your outbound links off the LinkedIn platform. So you want to post native content that you've originated. It's good to share and like, and I'll talk about that in a second. But you get the most traction when you post your native content, okay? And you, like I said, you want to minimize your outbound links off of that content. LinkedIn will show your native content more so if you have no outbound links within your network's feed pages. So just kind of keep that in the back of your head. Post content that is very high quality. Laura's very, very good at this. So when you post your content, you want to be very detailed. You want to have specific examples of what your content is about. Provide screenshots, personal anecdotes, must have attention-grabbing title. Have a number in your title. Here are the top 5 things you need to think about when you're applying for a mortgage. The 5 things I learned last time I bought my house. Show your unique perspective. If you have an off-the-wall perspective about how to go out and I don't know why I'm on this kick of buying a house. I'm not in the market, but you can really have your very own unique perspective, but make sure you communicate that in your content, because that's what people are looking for. Is they see you as a subject matter expert and you have a unique perspective, and they want to learn what that perspective is so they can start to have judged and formulate their own perspectives. Posts that do really well on LinkedIn or share your unique opinions, like we just talked about, unique perspective that your audience maybe hasn't thought about. So really try to, number in the title, great question. So, numbers in a title of an article is things like top 5, ... the 5 things I learned when I applied for college. A number that kind of grabs their attention. I've looked at 1,000, here's what I learned after I read, 1,000 resumes from our students. Those are grabbing attention. So when I say I've read 1,000 resumes, and it hasn't been that many, but let's say it's, 25 resumes that I've read, and here's the 5 things I learned. So it's that title has 2 numbers. So again, you're positioning yourself as an expert because you've done a lot of something, or you've researched the top 5 things you need to think about when you move to Durango, Colorado. So I hope that answers your question. If not, let me know. Share your personal experience. I'm a big believer in being very transparent, very open in your content, being, a little bit, here's a little bit of insight into my life and how I live my life. And if you integrate that into your content, you're going to be very, very successful. Open up and ask for advice. I'm struggling with how to move to Durango, Colorado. What are the things I need to learn about when I move there? And so, and I actually put that question out there, and I got several responses when I moved here 4 years ago. It's like, how do I get to Durango? And people chimed in. I had a mortgage broker, of course, chime in, and a couple of realtors chimed in, and it was great advice. And so then you can take that advice that you receive and create it into a content article for LinkedIn, because that helps other people. So as you build your personal brand on LinkedIn, you basically have one solid job, and that is to make sure that you're connecting one-to-one. So you want your network to feel like they're the only person in your network. And once you establish that level of relationship and you start to provide huge amounts of value, education, here's things you need to think about, how I built this company, all those types of things start to go in firing on all cylinders, then you become this larger brand on LinkedIn, and it's amazing how fast your followers will grow. So again, I want to reiterate, I mentioned this in the last session, there's 2 ways to interact on LinkedIn. You can connect with people, obviously, that's the big part of LinkedIn, but then there's also a feature just to follow. So if I'm interested in somebody's brand or what they're talking about on LinkedIn, I don't necessarily want to connect with this person. I just kind of want to follow what they're doing. So you can choose follow instead of connecting. Okay, so share your success stories. If, I often see realtors on LinkedIn sharing, hey, meet this awesome couple that just bought their house. And, it's great to be a part of that. Share those success stories. It feels a little awkward because you feel like you're celebrating you, and a lot of people aren't comfortable doing that. But really, your followers, your network, your connections all want to share in your success. That we're humans. We want to do that. So the hack is when you get ready to post an article, a long form article, or a poll, or anything on LinkedIn, reach out to privately off the LinkedIn platform. Like if I'm going to post an article, I'm going to reach out to Laura and maybe Jack and say, hey, I'm about ready to post this article. If you could like it and share it within the first few minutes that it posts, that would be super helpful. It's a little awkward to ask that, I get that, but all we're trying to do is spark the algorithm to understand that, Jeff just posted an article, so let's get it, let's go pay attention what's going on there, because we're getting lots of likes on this article, in the first few minutes or first few hours of the post being live. So it's a little bit of a hack. It works really, really well. So don't feel weird about it. All we're trying to do is wake up that algorithm and say, hey, there's a cool article over here. We've had 15 people like this post, so let's go pay attention to that. All right, so let's talk about hashtags. So hashtags have been around. LinkedIn failed the first time they put out hashtags, and I apologize for all the text, but it's difficult to display, with graphics and images and stuff on hashtags. But I'm going to have some samples here in a second. We're going to go take a look at. So basically, hashtags are. It has the. You've seen probably Justin Timberlake go hashtag, but hashtags have the symbol, the number symbol right before any type of word. No spaces. It's just all one word. So I'll show you an example of that. So why do we use hashtags? Hashtags are a way for people to search on the LinkedIn platform or Facebook or Instagram for a particular piece of content that they're interested in or a topic that they're interested in. This is basically LinkedIn's way of allowing people to search on things that they're super interested in. So it makes it easier to track subject matter experts or brand builders on LinkedIn. Hashtag should be super relevant. Caps or no caps, it doesn't matter. That's a great question. I think it's just a visual preference of but most of my hashtags that I'll put in are all lowercase. And hashtags are incredibly powerful. And I'm super surprised that the gentleman that Laura was talking about is not using hashtags. Hashtags to me are like this hidden secret gem that nobody wants to make the extra effort to use. But when you use it, your engagement can go up significantly. Okay, so and if there's any other questions on hashtags, we can jump into those. So let me just pop over here to and let me just show you. I was doing some searches last night, so I just type in Durango, Colorado, CO, and I hit enter. And this is why hashtags are so. Wow, where did that post go? Okay. There was a local insurance agency in the first post, and I'm not sure why it's not coming up, that this owner of this insurance agency here in Durango, and I forget their name, but they donated a bunch of masks to Durango High School. So they had a beautiful photo, the staff was there, everybody was fully masked, and John Hurl, the principal of Durango High School, were out there accepting the mask. That post showed up under this because of that person that posted that picture at DHS used the hashtag Durango CO. So you can see here, Laura, a week ago did a coffee at home for the chamber, and she used the hashtag. And so let me show you where she posted those hashtags. So they're right here at the bottom of her post. So she did Durango, Durango CO, Durango, Colorado, visit Durango. Notice that this visit Durango, she's tying in off of the visitor center. Durango business, that's off the chamber. Durango downtown, Durango, I can't get those straight. Durango events. So you can see she's covering, a lot of different hashtags. The most hashtags I would add is anywhere between 5 and 10. I normally don't go over 8. Just depends on the topic. So these hashtags are very relevant to the post and the content that you're dealing with. Okay, Dan Corman does a great job at hashtags. And I know he's getting a little bit of help from someone we all know. But you'll notice that this hashtag is up within the content itself. It's an article or it's a post about FLC and the importance of higher education and making it through this pandemic and so forth. So this is a great use of hashtags. So he's got college. So anybody out there across the entire LinkedIn platform that has that's monitoring the hashtag college, Dan's article would show up. So if I lived in Phoenix still and I'm wanting to move to Durango, then I'm searching certain hashtags that Dan utilizes on a regular basis. So when I go to Zillow and I see Dan, and then I come to LinkedIn and I do my hashtag searches and I see Dan, and then I go out and I'm looking at Dan's Instagram, it's very consistent across the board as he builds his personal brand to sell real estate here in Durango. So then Dan utilizes this great piece of content. He got a really good Zillow review and he took a screenshot of it, posted it. And this probably took him, look at all these hashtags. This is probably a little bit of overusage of hashtags. But you can see here that, this post probably in all likelihood took him about 4 minutes to do. So I'm a big believer that you should post every day on LinkedIn, some type of post, and a post could be a share of somebody else's content. But at the end of the day, Dan does a great job. So these are funny thumbnail images and stuff. It kind of draws you in. Here he is, very beginning of COVID. He's in his garage, but he's still shooting videos. What's going on in the home industry. So Dan's really, with some assistance, has really stepped up his game quite a bit. All right, let's go back to this real quick. Okay, let's talk about keywords. And you're probably asking yourself, favorite resource to find current, relevant, trending hashtags. Awesome question. Okay, so let's go back to when you go to do a post. Let me go here. Oops. Let me go back to my feed. When you do a post, come on. I'm going to start a post. What you do is when you click on add hashtag here, let me just type in, as I type in Durango, well, normally it does work that way. Let's see, it's another.
Good question. I'm going to answer Ellen's question while you're looking that up. So
Okay.
the way people find content with hashtags, which is a great question, is you go into your search bar on LinkedIn and you type in hashtag writing, hashtag editing. And people use those hashtags on Instagram, they use them on LinkedIn, they use them on Facebook, and they really use them on Twitter. And so it's kind of a way of adding a category to your content. Think of it that way. It's saying if you're looking for writing tips, type in hashtag writing tips and you're going to get a whole bunch of writing tips. If you're looking for personal branding tips, type in hashtag personal branding tips. Hashtags do not work with Google or SEO. So that's a whole separate type of thing. We use keywords for that. But we don't do the hashtag and one word thing in Google. That it's usually just for social media platforms. But if you want to try it, go to your LinkedIn and go to that little search bar and type one in. Type in hashtag something you're interested in, and hashtag health insurance, and you'll see a whole bunch of articles pop up. Did that answer the question?
I think it did.
Okay.
Oh, awesome. Yeah. So you can see I started to type in hashtag writing, and then what LinkedIn does is says, here are all the popular hashtags that people are searching within their algorithm. Writing help, writing skills, writing coach. And then you can click on this and it'll show you all the results for the hashtag of writing. So if you just utilize this, and then as you type in as you start to do your post and you click on add hashtags, things that you type in here, see how LinkedIn starts to suggest you use these hashtags. Okay, so great question. And again, 5 to 8, no more than 10 hashtags per post is what I go by.
I agree with Jeff on that, and just know that it does vary between which social media platform you're using. Twitter,
Correct,
you
yes.
typically stick with like 3, maybe 5 at the most, because it can look really spammy. Instagram, it's not uncommon to see people use all 30, right? That's more normal out there. Facebook, I've been told you're not supposed to use any, but people still run, that one kind of seems to be its own world. So just know that does vary, but I would agree with Jeff. Usually 5 to 8 on LinkedIn is right, that sweet spot. I try to make sure they cover 2 lines at the most, no more than 2 lines worth of hashtags running across the screen on LinkedIn.
Right. And then Instagram is kind of a whole nother, you can get a lot of hashtags in Instagram posts as well. So there's all kinds of debate and philosophies and stuff. I usually, when I do an Instagram, I run an Instagram account for Flagstaff, Arizona, about 16,000 followers on it. And I'll usually post 11 to 14 hashtags in my posts. What was the other question? Did you grab that question, Laura, ultimately?
Let's see. Yeah, so ultimately, I do want to direct people to outside links. How do you suggest I do this through LinkedIn without being ignored by the outside algorithms? This is a good Jeff question, so I'm going to defer to you.
So it's not that, so when you do an outside link, you can just put the link right into the content, okay? And it's not that LinkedIn's not going to show your post in your network's feed. It's more about it's going to show it less to your feed. LinkedIn, think of it this way, LinkedIn just doesn't like anybody to leave their platform and go to Facebook or go to YouTube and so forth. That's why they give us the ability to embed videos. That's why they want us to post that content on there. So what a lot of people do is they'll have a post that say it's on their website blog, and it's a native post, and it's all right there, and it's original content. And then people will go over to LinkedIn and create another little smaller post that just said, with no links, that just says, hey, if you want the long form content that's, 1,000 words or whatever, however you want to word it, go check out my blog, but don't put a link in. And they know, I mean, people are really smart. They'll know to go do a search for your blog and they'll find it. So again, these are issues that get debated every day on LinkedIn, but it has been proven that if you have an outbound link off your content, it will slow down the amount of people that see your post in LinkedIn. Okay.
And Jeff, I've also heard advice, and I'd love to hear your take on this, that just to make sure that you only post so many outbound links. So you might do do like 2 or 3 of your own original posts, and then you do one that's got an outbound link. Does that, and then do a couple more original posts and then another one with an outbound link. So you're not doing too many outbound links. You're still driving people to your profile with your original content, and then they can find those outbound links, but just make sure that every one of them is not an outbound link. Is that kind of what you?
That's very good advice. Yep. Okay. Yep. Spot on. Okay. And again, I don't want everybody to think that it's a super bad thing and I'll never do an outbound link off of a post. But you just want to minimize it, like Laura said, and again, it's the whole idea is to really try to get your content to be seen by your network and your followers. Okay.
And I'm going to back up to a question that we had a few back here. Favorite resource to find current, relevant, and trending hashtags. And I know Jeff was just showing how when you enter one hashtag, it gives you a whole list of other options that are very similar. So that's one great way, is to start with a root word like write, and see everything that starts to pop up. Another thing is that put in a hashtag that you think is relevant. So I might say writing tips. And then I go look at all the posts that are in writing tips, and I see what other things those people are hashtagging. So maybe they they wrote business writing tips. Okay, there's another hashtag I'm going to use, business, professional writing tips or business editing tips, So that's what I do is you put in one hashtag and go see all the hashtags everyone else is using. And then you can, kind of comb through it and find, create a couple good lists. And
that is so smart. That is super smart. Yeah. And, watch your people that you follow, that you want to kind of mimic their branding. Watch what hashtags they're using, watch what keywords are in their post types, all that type of stuff. You'll learn so much just by watching how everybody else is doing it as well.
Yeah. And another just tip is make sure you check your hashtags. I have tried, I've used hashtags, this has been more on Instagram, but it can apply everywhere, like content creator, okay? And then I went and started looking at what people were putting under content creator on Instagram, and frankly, I kind of was a little horrified because it was not what I was doing, okay? And so I was like, whoa, this is not, I was thinking content writing, and they're doing weird stuff. Go check it out. And so then I quit using that hashtag. And the same thing can happen on LinkedIn. Even if it's not inappropriate, it can still be irrelevant. You can think that people are using that hashtag and they're not, or they're using it in a different way. So it's always a good idea to go double check those hashtags and make sure that the posts that are pulling up with that hashtag are what you want. Because again, if I put in content creator and I go look and it's all these videos of anime, which is what it is, I was like, my content writing post, this is not relevant for this hashtag. Yeah.
That is so smart. Yeah, you should always check that, and it's all about having your hashtags be laser focused on what it is you're posting about and what it is your brand is about. That's good advice. I hadn't thought of that one, Laura. That's good.
Tried a few times. You'll be surprised. I was like, whoa.
Okay, I'm almost done here. I just want to finish up on keywords versus hashtags. So keywords are similar to hashtags in a sense that it just doesn't have a hashtag right before it. It's kind of how I look at it. I have to keep things super simple for my pea brain to understand. So within all your content, you want to be using keywords as well. So when you use like writing tips, utilizing that in your content is really good. I'm going to talk about how you find your keywords here in just a second. So places that you can stick keywords, and this kind of goes back to your profile. You want to use keywords in your headline. That is super important because the algorithm really weights heavy on your headline. And the headline is right underneath your profile picture. Those are your headline tags. I call them title tags. But so that's important to have keywords in your title tags or your headline tags. Awesome keywords, have keywords in your summary, experience, descriptions of past jobs that you've held. So if I'm trying to build my brand around digital marketing, and so in my job titles, I worked at Teva Sports Sandals, and I did these titles, I did analytics, I did, bought pay-per-click, and I can add those keywords to the titles of my employment history. Very similar to how I did it here, experience, job description of jobs. I just added it, like this could be the title. I had skills at Deckers Outdoor, and then these are keywords that I can just place into that title. And I would put them in parentheses. It really kind of fires up the algorithm and has you show up in more search results. Definitely keywords in your education, why you took and got a degree in liberal arts at Fort Lewis College. Put those keywords in your education as to why you got that degree in that education field. Volunteer experience, use keywords in your volunteer experience. Again, so important, so important. Okay, so where do you find keywords? This is where I think it gets a lot of fun. Personal brands that you follow, competitors that you follow, someone that does a really good job in your industry. Go look at their profiles, go look at their posts, go look at every place that they are interacting with, and look for keywords in those areas. Go to your competitors' LinkedIn company pages. There's lots of keywords there. There's also keywords in the jobs that they're posting. A certain specific type of Oracle programmer, and you could pull keywords out of that job description and place those keywords in those sections that we talked about in the previous slide. Your industry groups that you're joined on LinkedIn, look for keywords in those areas. Group profile description, there's tons of keywords in the profile descriptions of a group. Job postings, like I talked about before. Skills database. LinkedIn has one of the most robust skills databases on the internet. Go to your skills section and start to type in a new skill, and again, it'll drop down all these skills. Well, those are all keywords as well. And then anybody that's a member of their alumni organization, or even if you're not, alumni section on LinkedIn is so powerful for keywords, for jobs, for everything. Who works at a certain company that you're applying for? I mean, the alumni section is I think one of the top 1 or 2 most powerful features of LinkedIn. And we could go off on that whole section of alumni in the future too. Okay, so one last slide I have here is, and then we'll open it up for lots of Q&A, I'm hoping. LinkedIn is coming out with a new feature. The interesting thing about LinkedIn in the last probably 6 to 8 months is they've kind of like stripped off the tie, and they're getting rid of the suit, the suit jacket, and they're kind of just becoming this little bit cooler, hipper kind of networking platform. It's interesting to see Microsoft try to make LinkedIn a little bit cooler place to be. So one of the things they're doing, and it's been deployed in Australia, Brazil, Netherlands, and United Arab Emirates, but they're coming out with LinkedIn stories. And the reason I wanted to bring this up today is because you've got some time now to figure out how you're going to leverage LinkedIn stories for your personal brand or for your company or for your initiatives that you're embarking upon. So LinkedIn Stories is just like Instagram, just like Facebook, is that you can do a post. It all has to come off your mobile device, iPad, iPhone, Android device. And you get the ability to launch a story that lives on your LinkedIn profile or company page for 24 hours. It's just another post they're going to give us the ability to have. The latest I've heard is we'll probably see it in the next 60 to 90 days, I'm hoping, because this is going to put a whole new personality to LinkedIn, into personal brands on LinkedIn. So be thinking, I challenge each and every one of you, be thinking how you're going to leverage LinkedIn stories. It's going to be fun. I VP'd into some Australia profiles that I acted as if I'm in Australia. It's the only way I could see it. But it's interesting to see how people are using this. And if you're a mortgage broker, you could post every day in LinkedIn stories. That's a great point. I'll answer that here in just a second, Tara. But you can post the interest rates every day. It'll take you less than 4 seconds to do this. You have a standard post. Today, welcome to Bob's Mortgage Company. Today's rates are 2.34. Look forward to helping you. Let me know. That's a story and it's just video. It's Bob talking about the interest rates, and it's done on your iPhone or your Android device, and you just post it really quick. And literally, the beauty of LinkedIn stories is it's going to take you seconds to post really good, useful, educational content. Okay, so let me see if I can explain and answer the question, and chime in here with me, Laura, if you have some thoughts
Kara,
on that.
I feel you. I had to learn how to use stories, and I still struggle with them. It's not the way my brain operates. I'm like, I want to put a post out there. If I'm going to put that much energy into it, I want it to be there forever, right? But there are a lot of people who do really absorb stories. So Jeff, go ahead and
yeah. So LinkedIn stories is just like an Instagram story. If you're downtown and you're having dinner at El Moro and you want to share a positive experience that you had at El Moro, or a positive experience that you had with, a tourist that came to Durango or something, you can literally pull out your phone and in seconds be posting a story on LinkedIn or in Instagram or Facebook or whatever. But in this case, it obviously will have probably a personal brand focus or a business focus, but I think time will tell how successful LinkedIn stories is on the platform. But just be thinking in your industry how you can help people with with LinkedIn stories. Sorry, I do a lot of Instagram. But LinkedIn, it's going to be interesting because some of the things that it's an engagement, as the other features, engagement showing your expertise is really what it's all about. So I don't know if I'm doing a very good job explaining this. It's, I've been doing a lot of thinking about LinkedIn stories and how we're going to leverage it at Fort Lewis College for careers. And, I think it's going to resonate really well with our students because they're used to Instagram, they're used to Snapchat, they're used to Facebook, and so if someone on our team can post, hey, 38 new jobs were just approved in Handshake this morning log in and find yourself a job, and we can do that in a matter of seconds, that's going to really resonate well. So I hope that answers.
I would just piggyback on that. Think of it this way, you're appealing to a different type of audience. So your posts are going to appeal to one type of audience often, and your stories are probably appealing to someone different. It might be a younger audience. It might be just a different demographic, because I talk to some people who only look at stories. That's all they do. They don't ever go through the posts. And that's not me, but that is them. So I would just say, just be thinking of it that way, is that, these are two different ways to reach two different types of target markets. I'm not a stories person. I try to produce them, but I'm not good at consuming them. I'm really good at consuming the posts. Okay. There are people who do the opposite. So, and piggybacking like what Jeff just said, like I might do like, a daily writing tip. Hey folks, this week we're working on this, or hey, here's a marketing tip. Just like Jeff said, here's our Fort Lewis College tip. 10, 15 seconds. So again, it's just a way to appeal to a different demographic, a different audience. And just, it's a lot of times with social media, you're going to feel like you're saying the same thing over and over in a different way. You're just going to keep rewrapping that package. Okay. So just know that. And that's okay. You're just going to find new ways to share the same information. And that's what I
think the other thing is to think about when you think about LinkedIn stories is just have fun with it. Just kind of be a little bit vulnerable and put yourself out there. And I know that can be really hard to do, but if you mess up, who cares? It's what's important is that you're utilizing all the different post types on a very consistent basis. You do that, you elevate your brand, your personal brand enormously, and just have fun with it. I plan on doing some quirky stuff on it, and we'll see what happens. I mean, I'd love to hear everybody's feedback, and by all means follow or connect with Laura or myself, and we're here to help everybody. So we want to help a lot. So what other questions? I think we have a few more minutes, 5 more minutes. What other questions?
I'm going to back up to one that we didn't get to from Ellen. So if you want to share an article you published in another source, you should copy and paste the text rather than link it to that source's website. My thought, I'll let Jeff share on this too. My thought is vary it. If you're sharing lots of different articles, sometimes do a shorter version of it on LinkedIn, and on occasion do a link. My thought is kind of change it up a little bit, especially if you are trying to drive traffic to your website, but generally speaking, it's probably better to put it on the platform. Jeff, what do you think?
I think that's right. I go back and forth all the time. I mean, I'm a big believer in just do what you feel is right. I don't really, I talked a lot about algorithms and all that stuff. Do what's right for your audience. Do what's right for how, the more helpful, the more education you provide your network, it doesn't matter whether you have links or no links and all that kind of stuff. What's going to happen is everybody's going to see you as a subject matter expert, as an influencer, and they're going to come into your network and into your profile a lot more. They're going to like and share and comment on your content. LinkedIn's just going to be like, Sandy, she's awesome. She's posting all the time and people are interacting with it. This is amazing. LinkedIn is just going to start to elevate your profile on their platform. That's what they do. I think it's important we think about the algorithm and all those types of things, but do what you think's right for your network.
Yeah. And monitor what's successful. Like for example, I've tried doing like sharing news stories, and it's, I just don't get much feedback on them, even though they're interesting to me. Like it's something about, relative to what I'm doing. And so watch what people are responding to. And if you're not getting a lot of likes or you're not getting a lot of click through to your website, like you've got the article posted on your site and people just aren't clicking through, try it a different way, then try posting it directly on LinkedIn. See if you get better engagement, So, it's all about listening to your audience, pay attention, listen. When we say listening, we mean like watch how they're reacting, and do what drives engagement. So however you are generating engagement, run with it, and if something you're doing consistently isn't working, scrap it. Don't waste your time, it's the beauty of social media marketing is that you really can reinvent yourself over and over and over. It's not like, you're doing a print ad and you got to nail it this one time because you're running thousands of copies and you're spending, hundreds of thousands of dollars. Like, no, you try this. If it doesn't work, you shift. Be ready to pivot, try things and go with it. So.
Ready to pivot is super important. Just things that don't work, put it to the side. And doesn't mean it won't work in the future though. So be thinking about, market shifts change, things resonate differently at different times, and just try things. And in order to get, let me do one thing, a shout out to our LinkedIn helpers group that we created. It's called Durango, LNKD helpers, LinkedIn helpers, Durango LinkedIn helpers group. A lot of you joined. Laura and I are monitoring that group a lot every day. And there we go. Thank you, Laura. And we'd love for everybody to join, get your networks, get your employees, everybody that you're involved with, have them join that, because this is going to kind of be what we hope is like the nucleus of helping everybody in Durango elevate our presence on LinkedIn. So, and then Dan will post the slides. I'll post my few slides that I developed in the helpers group so everybody can have access to them. And then we're recording this as well, so you can get that from Rita at the chamber as well. So, any other questions?
Hey, Jeff, we had two more questions. One is, how do you indicate a keyword? And I would say there's a couple ways you can actually indicate it, which I'll have Jeff talk about, or just naturally, organically incorporate it into your text. So if my keyword is copy editor, I might say, Durango's premier copy editor, right? Because that's one of my keywords. And I like natural integration. That's what I'm a writer. So
yep. That's the best way. You can, in your about section, you can title and put it in the, I forget what they're called, the brackets, not the parentheses, but the brackets. I forget what those are called.
Brackets.
It's right above your enter key on your keyboard on PC users. But you can put the word in all caps, keywords, colon, close the bracket, and then list your keywords. And what that does is it alerts the algorithm that you're not spamming your about section. But it's relevant to the algorithm because it's showing the algorithm that these are a bunch of keywords that are relevant to your about section. There you go. Perfect, Laura.
Just like that. The whole
just like that. So you can add that to your about section. We have our students do that up at FLC because it kind of wakes up the algorithm and shows that they're a student, but it also, when you're a little bit lighter on your keywords and your career, where you're at in your career, it really kind of helps them show up more in searches and so forth. So, but the best way to utilize keywords is just organically draw it right into your content.
Let's see here. Recommendation on headshots and not professional needed. I think that's an article Jeff is still planning to get posted, and we'll let you know. Watch the LinkedIn helpers group. We'll let you know when it's posted. Does that sound good?
So I'll talk about that just real quick. So what I did is I created a poll. The poll feature has got so much potential. So I created a poll. It was a post type, and I said, who here, who on my network has created, how did you create your photo? And I had like a professionals, I took it on my smartphone, and I had one funny one in there. So everybody mainly said that they had a professional take their photo, which is great, which is awesome. But now I'm going to break it out into multiple content articles for how to take your photo with your smartphone. Because why not? We're taking selfies every day, and then what are the steps to making sure your profile photo is very professional? It takes up 60% of the image space. There's a lot of things you can do. So again, be thinking about what questions or what polls can you run within your network, positioning you as an expert, and then how do you bust that out into multiple forms of content? But I clearly ran out of energy last night, and I didn't get my article written. So
it's okay, awesome. And we had one last question, and I don't know, Jeff, if you have a quick way to answer this one. They said that there was a lot of stuff showing up in their activity feed that they didn't post, or maybe they just liked it and they want it to not show up in that activity feed. How do they get rid of that? And I was thinking, if it's something you posted, you can delete it, but if you liked it, I think the only way to get rid of it is to unlike it. Is that right?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. I think it's just You just have to unlike it, and then it should probably over a few minutes will come right out of your activity feed.
Yeah. Although honestly, if it's not stuff that's bad, it's just irrelevant, I would probably tell you just go like a bunch of other content that is relevant, and it's just going to get pushed further down.
Push it
I know
down.
that's probably the fastest way, honestly, for you to fix that is just go find other content, publish it, share it, like it, get those in your top 10. And then that's probably easier, unless there truly is something you don't want to show up. Then you're gonna have to go find that piece and unlike it, unshare it, which you can do. There's a little like ellipses up on the upper right-hand corner next to everything that you've in your activity feed. And you can click on that and it'll give you like a menu of options. So.
Cool. It's an interesting question. I haven't gotten that one yet.
Yeah.
I never really thought about that.
Yeah, I haven't either. But.
Any other questions, thoughts? Has this been useful? Have we like got you thinking in another direction? Feel free to unmute too if you want. Just
are your eyes glazing over? You're like, whoa, too much information.
It feels like it could be a full-time job of its own.
Yeah.
Could be.
So what I do is let's talk about this just real quick. I spend a minimum of 20 minutes a day. Most of my days I spend about an hour on LinkedIn, just because I'm nerd like that. But if you just thought of it as 20 minutes a day, and I know 20 minutes is a long time, maybe all you can do is 10 minutes a day or 5 minutes a day, but just be very intentional about what you're doing on LinkedIn in those 5 minutes. So I do a lot of liking, sharing, and commenting. And just those 3 things, I've noticed my profile views have skyrocketed. But I'm very consistent about that. Every day I'm doing that, and it's just amazing how much it helps. And so those 3 things: I like, I share, and I comment on other people's content. If you commit to that, I will guarantee you your profile views will go up, and your presence on LinkedIn will go up as well, if that's what your goal is.
Yeah.
So
it is. It's amazing. It really does work. I've been amazed at how many, at how all of a sudden it's like my profile just gets noticed. The more like you said, just even if you're just sharing, liking, commenting, that's a start, it's a start.
And I think the other thing is to think about, if you have somebody that wants to connect with you on LinkedIn and you have zero interest in connecting with that person, please, it's just not relevant. It could be whatever the issue is, you're just not comfortable, just hit deny. Not going to connect. It's okay. It's okay. Don't feel you have to. Anybody that asks to connect with you, it's okay to say no.
Yeah. And I've made that mistake, and I've had to go disconnect with people because they'll just be advertisers, and shoot, Holly, I had one out. Next thing I know, I was getting direct message all the time. Do you want to hone your professional speaking skills? Messaging. And finally I was like, disconnect, get off. I don't know who you are. I thought we knew each other because we had a few mutual connections. Like I thought there was a connection. And then I realized, no, this is just one of those, people trying to get in. So don't feel bad either if you have to disconnect with people, because if they're just doing that to you, just kick them out of your network.
Yep. Don't hesitate.
Yeah.
No. So awesome. All right. Rita, should we button this up and say goodbye?
I think so. Thank you so much, Jeff and Laura. That was super interesting. I hope everybody joins the group and gets all the help that they need.
Excellent. Thank you. Thanks, everyone. Feel free to connect with us and reach out to us. Do not hesitate to contact us, and with any help that you need, we're here to help.
Absolutely. Just let us know.
Awesome. Thanks, everyone.